that I have started just 4 days ago, and so far have played completely free in EVE Online, and I have not made any donations, did not engage in any microtransactions, and I am playing this just as unpaid alpha account, just to have some fun and to show you how to play EVE Online and to showcase some hints and some background knowledge that I possess so that you can play EVE Online more efficiently from day zero and get to Omega Clone as fast as you can, or just enjoy the game in Alpha Clone status, which is also pretty possible. So without further ado, let's begin today's stream. Today we would like to continue with training agents, with career agent missions, and I'm starting again by claiming some daily rewards. Some of them are unique for me logging in for the third day already, because this is a third stream. And I'm continuing with my Minmatar character. In the previous stream I have completed basic military training agent, and I have earned some amount of money already. I have 2 frigates in my possession. One is Slasher, and then another recently given to us, Rifter. Rifter is probably slightly more suitable ship for the purpose of shooting at enemies, because it has double specialized combat bonuses, while Slasher has a little bit less tracking speed bonus, which means that its guns are less efficient, and it also has roll bonus for propulsion jamming, which is a PvP bonus specifically. So we really don't want to keep flying Slasher in PvE. Also, as far as I understand, Rifter should have slightly more affordable fitting in terms of our ability to fit more guns and use more active modules that provide us with tank and resistances. However, because we are not going to engage today with advanced military career yet, and I would like to play some exploration and then maybe industry and business. So for that purpose I will keep Slasher for the time being, because although it has a PvP bonus, it also has, as far as I remember, slightly higher navigation speed in Warcraft. Oh no, actually they are exactly identical. But yeah, okay, let's just explain that this is me being lazy to change the ship, because, well, this one flies. At least I don't see the reason for me to change. And just to remind you, I have 125mm Gatling autocannons fitted as guns in this ship. These are all 3 possible slots, because the ship has only 3 turret hardpoints. I have afterburner, the basic one, 1 meganewton afterburner, that allows me to fly reasonably fast and also tank NPCs with speed. I also have a small enduring shield booster, which gives me some extra resistance against some extra tank. And in addition to that, I also have some explosive shield hardener to improve my resistance specifically against Angel Cartel pirates, who are notorious for their ability to shoot with explosive primarily. In the low slot, currently I have just overdrive injector system. This will go probably at some point, because really I don't want to waste those sweet low slots when they can be used for something more productive. But again, probably this is a question of optimizing this ship for damage dealing and going for military application rather than what we're going to do now. So just quick reload of fusion, and also probably we need to clean up a little bit the hangar in our ship. There are some leftovers from previous missions. And let's see, what are we asked to do when we are going for example, exploration career path. So today's stream will be mostly about scanning and completing different anomalies in the space. Let's see, so Cosmic Anomalies level, task 1 out of 5, proof of discovery of anomaly. Basically, what we need to do is to find one anomaly, fly there, get a certificate from it, and bring it back. I think to speed things up, I'm going to switch for this one the afterburner from micro warp drive. As you can remember from previous streams, which if you have not watched, are available on my YouTube channel in slightly better version than on Twitch, and in raw version also, obviously on the Twitch itself. And here, yes, micro warp drive we're using because it provides us with much more speed than afterburner. You can see that our max velocity with micro warp drive is 3,400 meters per second, whereas with afterburner it was just 1,000 something. And this might help us a little bit. Okay, let's accept this mission. The mission is in the same solar system. All the anomalies that are designated for this exploration career path are actually very special anomalies, and frankly speaking, they are a little bit annoying when you are doing real exploration and you end up accidentally visiting some novice starter system like this one, and you open your scanner and then you end up swarmed with anomalies that are actually just training sites that don't produce anything useful. So in order to reach the anomaly, we need to open our scanner. So we can do that by selecting probe scanner, even though we don't actually have any probes left, or actually probe installed in our ship. We don't have probe launcher, we don't have probes. However, it's not necessary. Instead, we are looking for this panel on the right. And what we can do, we can press open it in a separate window, and then we can close the map of the solar system, which we really don't need at the moment. So now that we have this window open, we are looking for the green sites, and we are looking specifically for those which are saying anomaly training site. So there are basically two types of signatures in space. Well, strictly speaking, there are three. One being actual ships and structures owned by players, but we are not looking at them because we are not using any specialized combat scanner. And for PvE scanner, or without one, you will be able to see these. So these red ones, which say Cosmic Signature, are the ones that you need probes for. These are hidden spaces which you need to locate by using probe scanner and scanning probes. I will get back to it. There is a separate mission for this kind of activity in this chain of education. And before that, we are asked to just visit one of these anomaly training sites. So what are these three? Actually 6 in this case, and you can see here it says Angel Refuge combat site. This one is a real one. This kind of type of pirate name and then some suffix word are the real anomalies. Those are either a combat site or an ore site. I think nowadays there are also ice locations, but more on that again in some later streams when we'll try some ice mining if that is possible. Before that, let's see these anomaly training sites. So these locations are actually visible to you in the space. They are marked with these green markers. Let's see if we can find one. Yeah, for example, this one is Asteroid Belt Remains. And you will always be able to warp to one of them. They are pretty much like missions in that aspect that they are just hanging in the space until somebody goes there and completes them. And once they are completed, well, they despawn, and after some time they appear again either in the same system or in the constellation of systems or in the same region, depending on the properties of that particular type of anomaly. The thing with these missions is that basically these markers are visible to everyone, so contrary to missions, normal ones, where you are somewhat protected by the fact that other people don't have ability to directly warp onto you, because they don't know where you are. In this particular case, you are sitting right on the beacon that is available also to other players. So here we have some training containers that we need to open. This is basically just the goal of this mission. Just come to container. Okay, and we have bumped against the containers. That's how fast we were going. Or actually how not so agile we were. Again, this is a problem with micro warp drive, and if your ship doesn't have really enough agility, then you might start overshooting things or bumping into things. It's not very suitable for precise navigation, let's say. It is very good for going in straight lines. Now we have this proof of discovery and we are returning. Normally in the real combat site, not anomaly training site, you will have some pirates, usually several waves of them, and after you complete all of the waves, you will have somewhat randomly, basically just there is a chance that you might get an expedition that will lead you to some place which is similar to those cosmic signatures, but it will be spawned uniquely to you and it will not be visible to other players with combat scanners. This is called expedition. And the chance of getting one, well, it varies depending, but I would estimate it from 1 to 10% per completed mission, per completed complex combat site. In Null-sec space, there are also some upgrades to player-owned systems that allow them to affect the type, the composition of those particular systems, particular anomalies, and that basically helps them to get better rewards, better ships, better bounties, and farm them more or less don't stop, because they will just spawn and spawn and spawn, whereas for example in high-sec space, if you just complete this one, it will take some time before one appears again. So, okay, let's see. We have completed this one, another 250,000 disk, and now we need, introduction to cosmic signatures. So we will be granted burst. Burst is what is called exploration frigate. Basically, it is also just a frigate from perspective of the game, but it has bonuses to exploration and scanning, and especially to hacking and analyzing of relics and databases. This is a mini game, and we will get to it a little bit later, but at the moment the primary thing that we are looking for is that this ship is going to help us scan better. Yeah, the game says that there are 3 known types: data, relic, and gas. So data is the site where you will have to hack into containers to get them. Relic is very similar, just a different module, but similar minigame. And then gas site is completely different thing. It is more like a mining place rather than actual minigame site. The gas site will actually, you will have to take a mining frigate and install gas mining equipment and go there and mine the site. Okay, and it also says, gives some explanation how to use scan probes here, assumingly, and directs us to the system. So yeah, one thing that is notable here that have not been seen before, here in some missions you can see this site contains normal ship restrictions. Some missions will not allow certain sizes of ships to go through the entry gate into the first pocket, so you will have this kind of ship restriction message. In this particular case, the mission we will go there, and there will be a stargate, and we will only be able to go inside if we fly any of these ship types. So, for example, if for some reason you will have a carrier in a high security space in this particular system, you will not be able to just go through that Stargate. Sorry. Accept. Okay. And let's look at our burst. Let's double click to assemble it. Right click, change name to set it to something. And now another thing. I don't believe that we were provided with any scanner probes. So let's see. And no, we don't have yet anything from previous missions granted to us. So let's find a probe scanner, because probably we will need one. Yeah. So the basic module that you need is named Core Probe Launcher. And yeah, this is almost 2 times as expensive as 2 times more expensive than it actually cost, but again, 20,000 ISK is nothing, and we will save a lot of time by just buying it from the market. Now it says we need charges. Okay, yes, sure. And the charges to these are core scanner probes, or storyline or faction versions. Both storyline and faction versions give you the only advantage that it will allow you to find the target slightly faster, and also it will allow you to find targets that are very difficult to find. So I will go through that in a moment. So yeah, we need to get one of these, and we don't have any here. Sweet. Okay, let's find. So I guess the Asteroid is the closest location where we can find something. And let's strip fitting of our slasher, because I think we now will need some modules on our ship, on the new one. Let's use micro warp drive and use the same precaution measures, shield booster and resistances. As you can see, this one has only 2 turret hard points, and it has 1 extra low slot, but basically it misses 1 medium slot as well. So this one would be much worse in fighting, and you are generally advised not to use it for that purpose. This is a exploration ship. The purpose of it is to find things, not to fight them. Normally, if you are playing exploration, you will be finding some locations that require basically of you to take out some NPCs after you found those locations. But in this particular case, this is a training one. And yeah, when you are going to get those missions, you will basically have to switch ships. So you will have to have one ship for the purpose of scanning, and then switch it into another one that is actually combat capable. Only later at the game, and when you have some good training, you will be able to actually start building ships that are capable of doing some combat while being able to also scan things. Specifically, Sisters of Eve factional frigates, cruisers and battleships are good at that, because they also have scanning bonuses. The frigate-sized ship is called Asteroid, and it's cost, at least last time I played, it was something around 60 million ISK for the hull. And then it has capability of dealing drone damage and some laser damage at the same time as scanning. It's a sweet thing. Yes, as you have noticed, I have added also autopilot point to get back to our starting system. I did this by right-clicking basically the system name when I was in it, and using this add waypoint marker. Now we are in the system. Let's buy some core scanner probes. You can buy things remotely. You can buy things when you are not in the same system. You just need to be in the same region. So you can basically buy any orders that is available and visible to you. The problem is that you will still have to fly there, and in some cases it is better to be in location before you buy anything, just in case that something goes wrong and you end up in a situation that, well, this looks actually suspiciously expensive, but okay, let's just keep 16 of these. I'm sorry, 8 would be enough. So yeah, some locations might not be accessible to you when you buy things remotely, and if you have some suspiciously cheap order, you might be advisable. It might be good for you to just fly there first and only then buy it. Okay, now we have these. Interestingly enough, the game also insists that 50,000 ISK per probe is now sort of their real market price. Okay, you can see that by hovering above, you will have this pop-up that says, well, estimated price of this stack of 8 probes is 121,000 and 15,100 ISK per unit. This is based on global universe prices. It's not entirely accurate for any region, so take care. In some places you might find modules much cheaper, and others you will struggle to find even at this price. And in Null-sec, that basically is more of a question: what is pricing policy of your industrialists? Are they helping local people in your Null-sec alliance, or if they're just trying to make money? Because normally in Null-sec, during manufacturing stations, they will have some hefty bonuses to efficiency of to material efficiency, so they can produce things much cheaper. On the other hand, there is also cost of delivering some materials to Null-sec, especially raw minerals. Hello, Carly C. I created this account 4 days ago, and I have been playing already for 5 or 6 hours about that. You can see them in my previous streams and on YouTube. I did not do much, but yeah, I'd admit that my character has been doing some training during the last days already, so it's not completely fresh. I hope that answers your question. And yeah. So yeah, speaking about training, I now have my Minmatar frigate in the queue, which means that probably I want to add something else as well. We are going to have Minmatar destroyer available to us soon, so let's add that, because it would be very nice to jump onto a ship already when you have some skills. And yeah, what else? Okay, let's return to that a little bit later. So first thing, when you are scanning, you need to obviously have those scanner probes in your probe launcher. And once this loading sequence completes, you just need to press it with left mouse button or with a keyboard shortcut, which is in this case F1. And they are deployed. You can see them, the cluster of these probes in overview. These are my probes. The probes are time limited thing. So once you deploy, you can see that it says here 1 hour 7 minutes until expiry. However, if I will just recover active probes, if I will press this button, the upper left side of this window, then I will just scoop them back. Whenever, it doesn't really matter where they are in the space of the system, they will automatically return to my cargo, and I will be able to reuse them right away, and as if they were brand new. So the only way to really lose probes if you are, well, if you just let them expire. by sitting for some time in the system and watch them collapse. Also, there are some protections nowadays in place that prevent your probes from accidentally disappearing. So you will have some... Whenever, for example, you will jump through a system, your probes will try to automatically scoop into your cargo hold. I think nowadays this at least happens completely automated way, and you don't really need to press that button every time you go between systems. Now, here, as you can see, I opened the system map. To do that, from the scanner menu, you need to press Solar System Map button here. And because we now have this solar probe scanner detached, I want to have this floating as well. That's also a good thing to have, regardless of whether you are doing this, because you want to keep an eye on your overview and be aware of your surroundings, even when you are scanning. Even if you're doing this in high sec, that's a good idea. So let's see. We have a bunch of probes, a bunch of signatures here in the red. And you can see that each one of them has a cross inside, which means that we have not yet located this signature. Then we have a big red sphere, which is our estimate where this signal might be in principle. And then we have this red circle around it, which is currently empty. This is our scanning progress toward it. So once we're going to scan it, it will start to fill this bar, and eventually it will go and it will be completely scanned. Now, in the center, you can see these arrows and the box. This indicates the center of your probe formation. So probes, you have 8 of them, and they by default are allocated as follows. So you will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 probes allocated in this in the form of pentagon. Then if you go, you will have one above, one below, and as far as you can see, there is one also right in the middle where we are, so in the center of formation. So you essentially have a pentagon, one in the center, one right above it, and one right below it. The way signal scanning works is that there is real location. For example, in this case, this green marker is a real location of an object. And if this were a scannable object, we would have had put our probes on top of it, somehow knowing that it is there. And then, sorry, not this button. Yeah, by holding Alt click, we can reduce the scanning range of our probes, basically moving them exactly on top of this object. And we will have scanned it, and this would give us a maximum possible signal. So the signal is a number that goes from 0 to 100%, and once it reaches 100%, you will have perfect location of this object, and you will be able to scan this object, and you will be able to warp to it, and you will be able to save the bookmark like this, and so on. The problem is that when you start scanning, you don't know where the object is. The only thing that you know is this approximate location that is provided you by the game, these red spheres. And even those locations are not accurate, they have certain error in them. So the outermost range of this sphere, even the game says that, okay, this object can be somewhere within the sphere. Even then, the radius of the sphere has an error, and this error is defined by properties of your, basically by the radius of your probe, by the radius of the scan of the probe, and by your pinpointing skill. I will not go into details much at the moment because it is a separate lecture on how to scan efficiently. But let's start with some rule of thumb. How would you like to scan things if you want to just scan them quickly, reliably, one step at a time. So first step, moving the group. There are basically there are multiple ways of moving the group. You can take either arrows, and they will move the probe along the axis that the arrow points to, so you can move it back and forth, left and right, and then up and down. Or you can press on one of the sides of the cube, and then you will be able to move all the formation within the plane that is designated by this side. So in this case I'm pressing on top, so I'm able to move probes left, right, and further away and closer away from me. But they will never move at this time, at this moment. If I move it through the top plane, they will not move up and down. They will always be at the same altitude within the system. Now, obviously, if you take this side, then you can move up and down and left and right. If you do this one, then it is forward, backward, and up and right again. Up and down. So, using these, and knowing that there is this estimate, this cross, you want to put the center of formation right on top of this cross. So you want to do it like this, and so first you, for example, take top plane and rotate camera so that you are looking from up to the down, and then you move the center of this group on top of this cross. Then you rotate camera so that you are looking sideways, doesn't matter which side, and then you move using just up and down, you put the altitude of your probes correctly. And then what you need to do, you need to also zoom in, and by using right mouse, by pressing and holding right mouse button, you can pan camera around and zoom into an object so that you really see that, okay, yeah, now I am really good at positioning. So even when I zoom in very close, the center point of our formation matches this prediction. And then you need to press scan, so analyze button. Let's see what will happen. So you have just seen our probes warping at a very high speed to their new locations. Now there is a progress bar which lasts by default about 10 seconds, and actually I think with our skills and bonuses from ship it's already 8 seconds, but yeah. And you can see that we have just scanned 2 of the sites to 34.2 and 34.3%. The strength of this scan also plays into precision. And another important thing is that now you can see that we no longer have a cross and a sphere, but instead we have a single point in space. This single point means that we have been able to cover this actual location by at least 4 different probes. So it's not just one single probe touching this sphere and giving us a signal, but there are 4 of them reaching the sphere, and using some triangulation mathematics, our computer automatically pinpointed this location. This location is not accurate either, so it will have exactly the same error of prediction as the radius of the sphere in the previous case. However, because it is already just one point, it's basically a sphere of radius 0, so this is the best possible case on every given step. Now, on the next step, we need to continue. Because we have this now located, and we know that it is not further away than half a radius of our scanning probe, and with good skills you will have even less than that. And because we have 34% scanned, it's actually even less than that. We can safely reduce our probe size by 1 step. So instead of scanning with radius of 32 astronomical units, we now go down to 16. And we head into this location, we move our formation horizontally, and then turn. You can see that we are actually below it, so we use up and down arrow and put it on top of the marker. and zoom in a little bit and do some minor corrections. Once we've done that, we rinse repeat, press Analyze, let our probes relocate themselves, do another scan, and see what happens. Okay, now we have 68%. As you have noticed, the strength of the signal increased by a factor of 2. So every time the strength of signal exists here somewhere, if you reduce the size, the radius of the probes, this gives you improvements in the strengths by a factor of 2. Knowing that, you can actually already see that there is a problem. For example, this one shows that we have signal strength of 1.5, and this has been done at radius 32, and the lowest radius we can get is 0.25. So it might be challenging to get to scan this to 100%. So we might get 25%, we might get 50%, but it's not guaranteed that we will ever get 100%. This is limited by the skills of our ship, by the skills of our character. This is limited by type of our probes, type of our probe launcher, type of the ship we are using, rigs we are using, and so on and so on and so forth. There are also modules that improve scanning strength. So all in all, this gives us some limitations. But for the training missions, you can see that we are scanning things really, really fast. And in this system, you can see that actually everything that is above 10% now, these are all training sites, and these 0 and 1.5 are actual real signatures that you will want to scan down to find some real goods and some real perks. Now, to speed up the process of locating around, there are a few hints that you want to know. So first one is that if you have, let's say, we don't have it here, if you move your mouse on top of the marker and then double click it, your camera will automatically pan this marker into the center of your screen. Not only on this plane, but also on all other planes. So this marker will always stay. Now, with that information, we know that, okay, so we have centered. This allows us to zoom in very accurately because we no longer need to correct our position after zooming in. Then, second thing, we have located this center of our formation on top of this marker. If we now press double click anywhere in the space, we will automatically turn our camera into perpendicular position, so it will go from left to right, or if we double click again, it will go from top to bottom. This also helps to position our formation very quickly when we are doing this at a speed. Okay, we have just positioned it. Now let's reduce the probe size one step again. As you can see, we are still very nicely in the center, and press Analyze. My prediction is that after this scan we will be able to warp into both of them actually. Yes, they are now more than 100% actually, they are not listed, and instead we have them saved. This information will persist, I think, unless you are logging out. It will still show you that you have scanned this data training and relic training site completely. So let's recover our probes. Don't forget to do that if you plan to stay in the system for some time. You can see that they are now in our cargo. We can put them here. And since this is a data training site, let's warp to it. Okay. It says that we need civilian data analyzer. So it might be possible, it might be that we will not be able to just access it directly. But let's see what will happen. And also let's look for the market for civilian data analyzer. Okay, yes, ahead you should see a training calendar. Okay, neat. Any hints where we can get one? I need to use my civilian data analyzer. Do I have one? Okay, let's return first to the military school and see if maybe by any chance we were given one. And also let's save location. Right click, save location, submit. And we will be able now to actually use this location and then these bookmarks to access in case this scan information disappears. Let's see. Nope, nothing. Well, actually, we probably don't need to have just civilian data analyzer. Probably any data analyzer will do. So let's buy one. And buy also a Relic analyzer because we will need that one as well. I wonder if these were completely removed from the game at some point. Now we have a small problem, is that we don't really have any medium slots to fit these two modules, which are actually required for this ship to fulfill its role. So yeah, you can see that there is a problem with tanking shield on probe. But since again we are not going to encounter any problems, I believe we are fine. Okay, so this information has persisted, and what do we want? Doesn't care. Okay, let's go to that data one. There is no principal difference between data and Relic signatures in EVE Online at the moment, as far as I recall, at least unless something changed in the last 3 years. They are just requiring different types of modules, and they drop different sort of loot. So data sites will give you components and data cores that are necessary to invent blueprints for Tech 2, Tier 2 products. And then at the same time, Relic sites are going to drop salvaged materials, either the basic ones or the advanced ones that are typically dropped from harder enemies and that are used in production of tier 2 rigs. Okay, let's approach again. So this is data, and we're using data analyzer on it. Okay, now once you are using data analyzer, you will end up with this minigame screen. This minigame is hacking, and the interface here is as follows. So you have in the center this field of nodes. You can see these circles. Each circle represents a node, and they are reachable by these connections. So we at the moment can reach this node, and that's all. And you can see that if we will open this one, then we will be able to access 3 and so on. Somewhere across this node there is core that we want to reach. And not only we want to reach it, but we also want to destroy it so that we will be able to get into the game. get into the container. Now, to destroy things, we have virus strength. So we are playing as a computer virus in this particular case. And our current virus strength is 20. This is based on the ship, on its bonuses, on the rigs, and so on. So again, the same things as that affect positively scanning. There are also modules and rigs and modifications and ship hull bonuses that gives you extra strengths. Also, tier 2 data analyzer has by default higher strength and so on. Then we have virus coherence. This is our health points. So this is our attack, it's 20, with our health points, it's 50. So let's try. When we click one, we get a split second indication with a number. The number in this case was 4, and this indicates the distance to the closest special node. So this one, as you can see, is empty. Any empty node is fine. We really don't care about empty nodes. But special node might contain a core, or it might contain one of defense mechanisms, or it might contain some bonuses. So when you have a node that contains a bonus, you will be able to pick it up, and it will go into one of these 3 utility slots, and then you will be able to use one from here. The bonuses are different. One allows you to regenerate your health over time, even above this default number. Then the other bonus allows you to increase defense against incoming attacks. I think it actually completely mitigates all the damage. And then when you are using the other node, one other bonus, then you actually reduce the strength of the attacks that go against you. So different bonuses that can be useful to improve the situation, and then you also can stack onto negative nodes that will block your progression. They will not allow you to go further down the system, and they will also actively resist you. So they will have their own health points, and you will have to attack them, and they will attack you in return. Now let's see. If we go this way, we see that indication is 5. So judging from this 5 and 4, we can estimate that this single node actually doesn't contain anything at all. And yeah, we can see that it also says 5. Very interesting. Yeah, I think 5 is the maximum number, so you will not get 6 or 7 and so on. So instead it will always write for you 5. So this one should indicate 4 because this one was also was 5 and it cannot go below faster than by 1. So these two will be 3 and 3. Oh no, actually this one is 4 again. So this means that on this upper side we are not getting anything at all either. 3, 2, 1. Okay, this was 2, this was 1. So either this or this is some kind of special node. Let's see. Okay, this one. And this says defense subsystem firewall. The firewall is a standard piece of system defense known for its high coherence. You can attack firewall by left-clicking it. So the firewalls are such defense subsystems that have extra health. You can see the health of subsystem here on the top. It's now 20. And then at the bottom, you can see its strength. This is what it will deal to you in return. Now, because its health is 20 and we are going to attack it with 20, it will die immediately and it will not have an opportunity to retaliate. So in this case, we are just destroying it. And now you can see that it says again 1. So here is 2, 1, 1. So this node is also some special node. Okay, this one is saying now that this is a system core. And the system core also has health of 20 and strength of 10. So we are going to, again, destroy it immediately without further consequences to our health. Fine. And the system hack is successful. From this point on, we are able to just open cargo of this container, just as if it was any other lootable container in the space. And you can also see that it changed indication. Before that it was having a dot in the center, and now it's just open. Yes. And now we're taking proof of discovery, and we're returning back to the agent. In some later streams, I will go through real exploration sites. Actually, why not do it right now? Okay, yeah, it might be difficult to do it right now, because unfortunately Relic and data sites in high security space might be scarce. It might take some time to find one. But other than that, the gameplay is pretty much the same. You just need to carefully read descriptions of modules and see what they are doing to you. And there are just 3 or 4 different types of defensive subsystems. The most dangerous of them, I think, is antivirus, that reduces your attack by a factor of 2. And then regeneration node that actively heals all other nodes by 10 every time you are doing any action. So you have to destroy that immediately, and then just the fact that you might get up with antivirus, which will reduce your actual defense, actual attack, then that makes it much more problematic if they are combined. Other than that, you don't have to destroy every single node. If it blocks you, in many cases you are better to just leave it alone and try to find a way around. Okay. Need to activate acceleration gate, fine. We have been here already. In the military training we have been familiarized already with the pockets of dead space, where you can only get by using these acceleration gates. Now let's see. Exploration supplies. Oh yeah, that's where we were supposed to get those civilian modules, sure. I should have read the description of the mission. At least what mission suggested. Yes, now we have core probe launcher for free and core scanner probes. Okay, well, we can sell them. There is no harm done with that. Another thing. What does it say? Why do we need to activate this acceleration gate again? Okay. And activate it again. Okay, I guess this is representation of how data anomalies and signatures might look like. And yeah, this looks more like a relic site. And probably the last one will be the gas site. In principle, this is just, well, space shuttle wreck, abandoned drill. Yeah, this is just sceneries. Those were not really even training sites, so we were not able. Yeah, and here this one contains a nebula, which is probably indicating just this is a gas site. Okay. Read details. What do we need to do? We have progressed, fine. Now we can dock. Again, as you have noticed, the civilian data analyzers, civilian relic analyzer, they don't really do anything important. You will not be able to use them for any real scanning. The only probable reason why we would want to have them is for the purpose of training, because this one has less strength and less coherence, so you will be able to see consequences of taking damage right away. But why do that in training when you can get to a real thing? The consequence of failing and dying in this minigame are very mild, but you basically have just 2 attempts for every container. So after first container you will just get reset and you will have to start from the beginning. this hacking, and after second failure you will actually explode the container. It does not deal any damage to your ship, but you will actually lose everything that might have been there inside. Speaking of which, one very useful hint from people who do exploration for a living: there is such thing in EVE Online that says that is cargo scanner, and you can have this module installed on your ship, and you can apply this module to actually any ship in the game, any player ship and so on. This is not an aggressive action, so you will not get concorded for that, and you will be able to see contents. The thing is that it also works on those Relic and hacking containers, so you will be able to see if there is any loot that you might want to hack before you actually start hacking. In some cases you will see that, okay, the loot is not worth the time. Unfortunately, this also means that the site will not despawn immediately, so if you are this kind of the person who want to just go through this fast, then you might leave it, but somebody else will be very pissed, because they will find an empty site that you left with 3 unhacked low value goods containers, and then on the other hand you will be able to maybe just destroy them by force, just try to brute force them, and if they fail then just ignore the fact that they exploded. Now, data site, civilian data analyzer, we have this, so we have just completed this third training mission before we even were given that mission. So yes, complete mission, and now request another one. Relic site, fine, accept. Let's go and see this other relic site that we have found. And the last one would be the gas site, but yeah, because you cannot really ask people to install a gas miner on a burst, I think you will just be given a container from which you will have to loot it, and that's it. These Sisters of Eve are basically an organization that aims to support new capsuleers on their path through New Eden, so that they don't become filthy pirates, presumably. Well, as with any non-government organizations, they might be not very successful in that. Unfortunately, in EVE Online, people tend to create vicious empires that capture everything and destroy everything they see around them. Quite often, more often than these people might want. Okay, let's stop our ship. As you can see, we are overshooting it on micro warp drive badly. The thing with our analyzer is that it works from further away than actual looting range, so even if you are overshooting something, it's very hard to overshoot it by 5,000 meters, so it's fine to give your ship time to just bounce around while you are already hacking things. Okay, same story, so we will have encrypted node here. It says 4, 3, 2, actually again 3, so this branch is completely empty, and now we have firewall. So again, because we have so much trends that even not anticipated by the tutorial, we will get it destroyed without taking any damage. And then, yeah, this one's 2 and this was 1. So the only logical conclusion that this one is the core. And now we can hack it as well. And that's it. Again, these tutorial missions are aimed to just showcase you the basics of the play, not to actually challenge you. Maybe for the first time player who doesn't have any hints, this might be even challenging, but I doubt so. now we're docking. Let's complete this mission. Yes, now we are asked to find the gas site. We will provide you with the passkey into second area. Okay. We have created an artificial cloud pocket. Yep. So we will just have to fly there and take whatever is in the second pocket. Don't forget to take this gas passkey with you. It will be necessary for you to actually activate the Stargate. And of course, this means that we need to also scan down one. Now a little bit more hints about scanning. So the initial information that you possess about the objects in the system, it has not been previously in the game from the very beginning. It was added to it when CCP removed so-called deep space probes. The deep space probes had range of scanning of 256 astronomical units at the beginning, and they were scaling down, I think, to only 2 astronomical units at the very low edge of their scanning spectrum. And because of that, they were usable to scan the whole system with one probe to quickly measure what objects were there. So this information is equivalent of scanning the system with one deep space probe, and you can see that these deviations are huge. However, there is one important thing about the mechanics of spawning these signatures in the game, and that is that signatures are always within maximum 8 astronomical units away from the closest celestial object, and celestial object is either a sun or a planet. Stargates, I think, don't count towards that. So in this case, you can see that right at the edge of the system we have this solitary planet. We just have now one single cosmic signature, and it is located very far away. So there is much further distance than 8 astronomical units to any other planet. So we are certain that there is this anomaly, and that it is located within 8 astronomical units. So when we start our scanning, we don't start scanning here, but instead we are aiming at this planet. We launch our probes, of course, and we put our formation on top of that planet instead. And we start not with 32 astronomical units, but with 16. This guarantees us that... Oh, actually, let's start with 8. I think that would be enough. With 8, even with 8, you will have this somewhere within this inner circle, or in this axis like this, so it will be intercepted by at least 4 probes. And this is your goal on every step. If you have the signal intercepted by 4 probes, then you get a single point. If you don't, then you might see some interesting things. So here, for example, you can see this dotted, actually dashed line. This means that it was intercepted by by 2 spheres. So it's an intersection of 2 spheres virtually. So there should have been one here and then another one somewhere here. And you can, by that, deduce, if those were your real probes, you would be able to deduce that, okay, yeah, I had probe here and here, so here somewhere in the volume between these two probes there is my signal. So this gives sort of even more information to you on how to place this. Okay, so this is a relic site, and we don't care about relic sites anymore. Now, if you are doing scanning and you are not interested in some site, you can right-click it and say ignore result. Then it will be automatically added to ignored list, list, and it is available here. And you can clean it up, so you can turn it back into normal. That's in case you ever do that by mistake. Okay, let's see. Now another thing, in typical system, you will have some large group of planets located in the center around the sun. So in this case we have a lot of celestials, and because objects are spawning around those celestials, if we do this scan at the beginning with the same conditions of 8 astronomical units, we are almost guaranteed to find at least something nearby. This also speeds up the process because you start from basically some kind of advantage. You don't have to do 2 extra scans to pin down thing to this level. And as you can see, we have actually pinpointed almost every single anomaly by doing this. This is very useful, obviously, only because of we now in this training system, where those training sites have actually very high strength. But even if they weren't, even if this was like real scanning and these were like 5-10% strength, then you would have had already probably some information about it. For example, at 25% you already see the type of the signature. So if it is a relic, if it is a hacking site, if it is a combat site, if it is a wormhole. And in some cases it's enough for you to just press right click ignore, because, for example, if you are not looking for combat sites, you are not going to scan it down completely. Okay, let's go to the gas training site. Let's recover probes because we no longer need them in this mission. And yes, another thing, the bonuses of this hull are actually amazing. For all empires have their own reconnaissance or scanning exploration frigate, which will have this kind of... That's interesting. Shield booster. What? Okay, so Burst is not actually an exploration frigate. I think it used to be, but it's not anymore. Now it is a logistic frigate, and there is no bonus on scanning, so this is actually a bad ship for scanning. Why would you give one for people who are doing training for scanning? So yeah, read bonuses of your hulls, because this might improve your scanning strength. This improves your, well, not only that, it will improve the duration and so on of the scan. It will improve pinpointing accuracy, so in some cases, if you have good enough skills, then you will be able to not decrease your probes by 1 step at a time, so by factor of 2, but already by 2 steps at a time. So at that point you start scanning twice as fast just because of that, because you do 2 times less steps. And if you start from 8 astronomical unit scan, as I suggested at the beginning, so you will have 8 AU, then 4 AU, and then you will have immediately 1. And at 1 you are pretty much guaranteed to have complete information about types. So in 3 scans you will have all the types of the signatures in a small system, or in the center of a large system. And then from there you can just ignore ones you are not interested in. Okay, training container, gas site, proof of discovery, loot, and dock. We're done with this one. It's probe for Minmatar, yes. Yeah, that's very logical. Yeah, I guess. Thank you, Alifer. I guess probably exploration frigate is just too overpowered for this training, actually, because really you don't really you don't need these bonuses with these training sites, but you do need them for real sites, especially if you're starting with no skills, because the core skills that you need to train, for example, for scanning, would be astrometrics, which you cannot train past 3 with alpha clone, and then well, pinpointing, yes, is something that you would want to have, but obviously you cannot also. But this is this can be compensated. the range finding. Yes, this one. So you want to have this at level 5 and this at level 5, because this one also gives 5% to scan trends of your probes. And these two skills together define whether you are able to scan something down at all. And then another thing, of course, you can compensate this by modules, but in principle, this limitation is harsh, and your ship's body, the hull of the ships, gives bonuses which are equivalent, I think, to 25% at level 5 of Minmatar frigate, or Rachel frigate, in case of other ships. Let's see. And yeah, as you can see, for example, for hacking and archaeology, there is a skill that gives you plus 10% points to virus coherence per level. So this is right away extra health at the beginning of hacking. And this plays an important role when you start doing harder sites, especially in low-sec and null-sec and wormholes, if you try to do that. So actually, I think that I will put these skills, both of them, at least at level 2 in the queue, and I will keep in mind that I need to train them maybe eventually to level 3, because it takes the whole day and I cannot schedule them other than by plugging them at the end of my queue. Okay, let's complete this one. Yeah, and now we're getting the actual scanning frigate. Okay, so we are now 1 hour and 10 minutes into the stream. I think we have enough time now to complete at least industry. Let's see. These one are faster. And let's return to Slasher and also strip our burst of fitting, because we need those modules. Making mountain of molehills. Okay, so this one is about mining. Now we will be granted a miner 1, and we will asked to mine 1000 Veldspar. And we have to mine in that particular place. Okay, that's fine. The only thing that we need to know is that Veldspar will actually take 100 cubic meters, and we need to make sure that we have that space. So I think we will accept this mission, and we will feed this miner 1 into our ship. And we will take also microwarp drive online, because we need it to make things faster a little bit. Let's feed resistances and shield booster just in case. And let's use 2 remaining turret points. You can see that miner laser have taken out 1 turret point, so we will need to use 2 more to actually have some kind of damage dealing device in case pirates show up. Not like player pirates, but NPC pirates might be a little bit of a nuisance when you are playing as a miner, because the mining sites are designed in such a way that they will harass you from time to time. In most cases, most mining ships will just field a little bit of drones to destroy them, but since we have none, and since we're actually flying a combat-capable ship, why not? And we're going to warp to location automatically, because that there is specific site where we have to mine this Veldspar. The interesting thing about EVE Online trigger system and, for example, drop-off, is that in many cases you will have missions where you have to deliver something or get something from some site and then bring it back to as an agent. You don't have to do that. You don't have to go and pick it up actually from that location. You can procure it anywhere, including other players. So if some other player have made sure that, okay, we now have, I have some extra Veldspar. They can put it on sale, and you will be able to get it from there and bring it back to the agent. And in many cases, it will be fine. In this particular case, unfortunately, yeah, there is special restriction and even a red warning for people to not try to do that. Because it's a training, we need to learn how to mine. Now, as you can see, we have one droid of Veldspar. Usually you will have some more materials hanging around in the asteroid belt or mining anomaly. And if you switch to mining tab, you can see that, okay, we actually have a lot of asteroid belts in this system, and we have this Veldspar asteroid. So in order to mine it, we need to be within, well, in this case 10 kilometers. So actually we don't really need to move anywhere. Just control click it as you would do with an enemy ship, and left click your miner to activate it. Yeah. And now you can see the mining has started. It will mine at the rate of 64 cubic meters per 60 seconds, which means that we need, well, 3 cycles or 3 minutes to complete this mission. As far as I can see, there are no other restrictions towards this mission, so no NPCs have showed up so far. So we have these 3 minutes. Let's use this money with a little bit more purpose and go into project discovery. I will not stop advertising it, especially if you want to do mining in EVE Online. This project discovery thing is basically your second source of income. You can do it while doing many activities, like autopiloting through space, or actually you are not advised to autopilot, but even if you're manually piloting some kind of if you're manually piloting some kind of slow freighters, then you can do that in the process while your ship warps around. You just need to press one button every once in a while, and since you are completely aware of what's going on from this menu and this menu, this information bar and so on, it's enough. Now the agent now says that it's okay that we have mined this 460, but in reality it's not. It would have been if we would have had some extra Veldspar. So we have triggered completion of this part, but we still need to mine more. And while we are mining, let's do some clustering. Again, I'm not very good at cluster recognition. And you can see that we are still getting those training samples, which calculate our accuracy. And once we get to level 1, level 2, we will get this kind of reward crate with some goodies in it. Another thing that you can do while mining is actually planetary interaction. I will get to it in a little bit later step, maybe when we will start doing some hauling around to get some standings. Planetary interaction is a nice addition to the game. It's a very nice passive income for a newbie. It's not very lasting, because at some point you will just get too annoyed by going to different planets. But if you do that in the same system where you live, primarily, if you take, let's say, if you have one agent or one station with agents that you run, where you run missions, or if you run abyssal space, then you don't really need to be in any particular system, you can live anywhere. Or if you are industrialist, you live somewhere next to Jita and you found a planet nearby which is still not free of materials, and you can just do that once in a while. The actual interaction does not require you to be present in the system. There are no skills that limit the range at which you can interact with your bases. They can be even in the wormhole space and you will still be able to command them. The only problem is that you need to from time to time visit it to pick up resources, and this is limited primarily by the amount, basically by design of your base. So if you have some kind of high warehouse capacity, then you don't really need to be there very often. Okay, I think we are done with mining, so this will be the last sample. Continue. We are not going to continue. Yeah, we're now 1065 units of feldspar, and actually we are full on our cargo. That's why it stopped. I think this roid has even more materials than that. Let's go back and let's craft something useful out of that. This is, if you have not yet played this tutorial, basically the primary idea is that you are taught how to make business in EVE Online, how to make sort of industrial activities, either trading or manufacturing, producing things from scratch. One thing to note, and this is a common misconception that new players have, that if you mine something yourself, then it's free for you and you can do this activity with absolute 100% profit and you don't care about how much things cost. The problem is that obviously your time costs money and you will have to choose which activity you do. And from that perspective, yeah, it might be so that you are not so profitable doing mining or some industrial activity. But again, there are some benefits to that. For example, as I mentioned in previous streams, if you want to supply yourself with ammunition, that's a really convenient thing to do because you don't have to stockpile every single type of ammunition that you use. Instead, you take blueprints, and blueprints take not so much space, and you just need to resupply with materials. And even those you can get by, for example, recycling some loot from NPCs in reprocessing plant. So again, it's a question of whether it is more convenient to you to run it this way. Okay, so what do we need? We need to reprocess feldspar and produce titanium. Fine, easy. We already have some feldspar here, but probably, yeah, we need to have some more. So let's talk about asteroid belts a little bit. There is not so much to know about asteroid belts besides the fact that they are primary source of asteroid material. And if you go to mining tab, in this case, you will find those asteroid belts. Just warp to any of them and you will end up in a central point of the asteroid belt on the beacon. In some cases, some ships are able to reach asteroids right from there. I think we will have to fly a little bit towards individual asteroids and then sit there for some time. Okay, as you can see, this one is already being mined by some NPCs actually. This is Relic tribe's venture. Some NPCs mine asteroid belts. That's a fact. And these NPCs are actually quite well defended. So if you want to play pirate by attacking those NPCs, I advise you to actually bring a fleet of friends, because these ships will give you some fun by killing you. And yeah, just select one asteroid. They don't mind that we are taking asteroids, it's not theirs. They are just here imitating life in EVE Online. They are not really doing anything useful with that ore either, I think. But they will slowly eat this asteroid belt over time. And during the next downtime, the asteroid belt will be respawned and all the process will begin anew. The interesting thing is that you really can kill them, but... And this is more like PvP activity, because the composition of the fleet that will arrive to defend these guys, once you start attacking any of them, it will be quite decent. Since it is a static composition anyway, it's not really challenging, so once you know what's there, you will just need to adapt. But... do we want to get some more? Probably one more cycle. Normally when you are mining you can just produce jet cans. So when you are doing jettison, your loot will end up in such floating cargo container in space that you can open. And it has 20,500 cubic meters of space. So even if your ship is having very small volume in cargo, you are still able to mine a lot by basically jettisoning once and then drag and drop in your Veldspar into this container. The problem is that at this point, at least, I don't think I have any cargo ship available. It might be a good idea to train some industrial. Let's see how far away we are from training Minmatar in industrial skill. Okay, we actually have level 1 and we can have more. Good. Because level 1 means we can use Hoarder, we can use Mammoth, we can use Wraith. These three are different flavors, they have different bonuses and slightly different purpose. So this one has ammo bay capacity, so this is a ship that has by default very low cargo, but it has internally some specialized ammo bay, which is by default 41,000 cubic meters. That is incredibly a lot, especially when you are starting without skills. And this is a specialized cargo hold that allows you to only store ammunition, so rockets, ammo, different types of different types of charges that you can put into your ship. Okay, now the game it suggests that we are kinda running out of cargo space. So yeah, this is Hoarder. Now Mammoth, on the other hand, has bonus to what? Effective distance traveled for jump fatigue. This is what is called an agile hauler. This one flies faster than typical hauler. This one aligns faster than typical hauler, but has smaller cargo capacity. This is a trade-off that you make. Then you have Wraith. Wraith is a default cargo hauler, universal hauler that takes any type of cargo inside, and it is slow. It has initially just 3000 cubic meters of cargo capacity, but it is expandable with specialized module. And with that, with all those modules installed, you will have somewhere about 20,000, I think. And it has some larger warp speeds. Okay, that's interesting. Maybe I'm mixing these two up. Maybe Wraith is the fast one and Mammoth is the slow one now. But I wonder why would it have this bonus now instead. Let's see. Yeah, I think Wraith is the fast, because it has also this warp speed, which is not typical for a cargo ship to have 4.5. You want to use Wraith, for example, when you are, if you were to make some cargo missions. They are not very high profitability missions, but you can use them to quickly get some standing with certain corporation that has some mining missions. Oh, sorry, not mining, but cargo hauling missions, because those are typically much easier to complete. And when you are doing those, they will give you low standing on their own, because, well, they are easy missions. Why would you get some good standing for that? Instead, you are aiming to complete storyline missions, which are given to you every 16, any 16 missions at the same level of the same, I think actually of the same faction. So it doesn't even strictly matter for which corporation you do those. And the thing is that when you do those storyline missions. You get standing with the whole faction at the same time. And this is very useful. So now we have stacked our Veldspar, and we can right click it and reprocess it. Don't by accident trash it. It is possible. Now you can see that in this reprocessing screen, you can also get here from the services menu. I think it's this one, yeah, reprocessing plan. So here we will have the icons of everything that we could reprocess. Yeah, we can drag and drop things. For example, we can drag and drop a module, which we don't need if we don't need it. Also, we can drag and drop metal scraps, because those don't do anything useful, they just produce titanium. And you can see that actually by reproducing this Veldspar chunk, we get 50% base yield, and this is affected by our skills and by the facility at which we're doing this. So when we will have better skills, when we will have some kind of player-owned base which specializes in processing of materials, we can get more materials per mined asteroid. The increase is not significant, but because of the way EVE Online works, this means that the price of selling this Veldspar on the market is, for this case, even for this case, it is already higher than actually materials that we will get with our low skills and this particular plant. You can see that when we are doing this refining, the estimated price of this material is 13,700 ISK, and we are getting only 10,500 ISK worth of titanium with that. This is bad, let's say it straight. So you don't really want in many cases to do that, unless you are in such situations that you cannot really take this Veldspar anywhere. So when you are in the place and you are on issue, because Veldspar takes a lot of cubic meters of space. When you reprocess it, it shrinks. So the Veldspar now takes 113, reprocessed titanium, 22 cubic meters. So even if we would have had all the skills and we would have got slightly more, we would have roughly had about 40 cubic meters. So it would have shrunk almost 3 times. There is alternative to this process. When you have your own starbase, which is an engineering complex, I think actually you need either engineering complex or refining facility or citadel. I think all of them works. You can install there a reprocessing facility of your own, and there you will be able not to reprocess things, but instead to compress them. A compressed ore is then has higher density than actual reprocessed minerals, and it can be hauled in such form to trade hub and sold there, and then other players will take that compressed ore and take it to Null-sec, where they have highest bonuses available and get minerals out of it. But in this particular case, unfortunately, we need to complete this mission, so we will take the reprocessing. And we will also do the same for metal scraps, because they actually yield more titanium than what we have just mined. And we have enough titanium. And we will be granted Venture. Venture is a mining frigate. It is a specialized ship of a frigate size that actually is having has bonuses to mining speed. So it will have, when you install mining lasers into Venture, they will be more efficient. They will have shorter cycle times, they will mine more per cycle. And this is good, because really don't mine in Slasher. That is not a way to earn money in EVE Online. 1 meganewton civilian afterburner. Yeah, okay. Now we are getting to industry. So in this mission we are granted with this blueprint copy. This is basically a core material or core thing that we need to actually produce anything in the game. We need to have some blueprint. It might be a copy, which is in this case, or it can be an original. Original is a blueprint that has infinite amount of runs, infinite amount of uses, so you can use it and use it and use it and nothing happens to it. A copy has limited amount of runs. Once you use it, the amount of runs that is specified on it, it disappears. And every time you use it, it basically reduces the amount of time. So we now have this. Let's produce some civilian afterburners. We need 1 to complete this mission, and we really should not waste materials on this useless module because people get them for free. By double-clicking this blueprint, or actually right-clicking or use blueprint, you will open it in the industrial menu. You can also get there by clicking industry service, and here you will have the industry interface. This is a reworked interface. In previous times this information was much less useful, and now it's very condensed, very precise, and very to the point. So here we have input materials. So this one will show all input materials that you need, and also it will indicate how your blueprint's efficiency, material efficiency specifically, changes the amount of materials that you require. So in this particular case, you can see that the game says we need 64 tritanium with -5% material efficiency modifier. It means that if we had it at 0, we would have had to pay 67 tritanium. This is not a lot, but at scale, this basically rules the economy. When you are manufacturing some tier 1 products, technology level 1 modules and chips, because those come into the world of EVE Online in the form of blueprints, and because you can research material efficiency on those blueprints permanently, and you have just 10 levels of those material efficiency progression, you will have possibility to make perfect blueprints in a short time. So for example, for some ammunition materials, for small size charges, you will need, I don't know, maybe a couple of days to research material efficiency to level 10, and this will give you a perfect 10% deduction, and this means that you're producing it in theory as efficiently as possible. Of course, there are still manufacturing bonuses that come from the facility, but unless you are in some player alliance, I think it would be really difficult for you to get to those. And then they are not also coming free, because you need still to have those stations, you have to pay maintenance fees and so on and so on and so forth. Now, second type of efficiency, not only material efficiency, but also time efficiency. This one is much less critical. This one just reduces the amount of time it takes to complete this job. You can see the job duration here at the right lower corner of the screen. And so it says now it's 4 minutes 42 seconds, and it is reduced by 6% because we have basically level 1 in industry, which gives us probably this 4%, and then blueprint time efficiency would give us another 2%. And that's it. And then we have total job cost. This is what NPCs that own the station, or players that own the station, would want to get for this job. Consider this to be a salary. And this information comes from estimated item value, and then there is some modifier, so there is some like 10% of that, and on top of that you only pay what is basically fraction that depends on system use. So for every solar system you will have indices of activity, and if a lot of players produce a lot of things in this particular solar system, then the system cost index will rise, and the price of installation of this job will go up. If people don't use it much, then it will go down to 0 if nobody uses it at all, and then you will pay nothing for it. So in this way, game tells you that, okay, you might want to consider moving to a nearby system and find a better spot to make production. So this is one of the gameplay choices that industrialists must make, where to produce, because not every single location is exactly like the other one. Now we have facility tax, total Omega cost 7x. 7 is what? There is tax on alpha clones, so we are paying additional 6 ISK just for being an alpha clone. Well, I guess that's fair because alpha clones are really not paying subscription, and this allows them to produce things for free effectively. When you are having a subscription character, you will have a very limited amount of jobs that you can run, and this costs. This is basically defines how much goods you can produce and your own expense in the form of paying the Omega fee. So this is sort of an attempt to balance it. I don't know how well it is working. At least for this one, it seems that we have just paid double the job cost, but on the other hand, it was just 2%. Okay, so while this is running, I will tell you a little bit more about this screen. So here in the center we had an option to select more job runs than one, so you can run and produce more than one afterburner at a time. The limit here is actually the amount of runs that you have on the copy, or if you have original, I think the limit is, I don't know, 1,000, several thousands. Basically the limit is the amount of materials you have. But you can have basically a very, very, very long queue of jobs. So if you are an alpha clone and would like to get into industry and use this only manufacturing job line that you have to get some passive income, I would advise you to get some materials on the station and then try to use Blueprint originals whenever possible, or buy Blueprint copies from players that have a lot of job runs on them. And then just queue this for, I don't know, 1-2 weeks, so that you don't have to micromanage every single cycle. And then still have the sort of benefit of running this bulk, because this is basically how the economy works. You have to produce things in bulk. You have to produce 10 ships at a time, not one. Otherwise, the hassle of you installing this, hauling it to industrial station will take so much time from your schedule that you will probably just wish you never done that ever. Now, here you can see that we have facilities. If we don't limit our facility choice by anything, we can select current region, and it will show us a lot of stations where we can do different things. So we can do manufacturing in any of these, where there is this red line and the white icon, and then we can do material efficiency research in any of these stations, and then time efficiency research in any of these stations, and then we can copy. So Blueprint originals can be copied, so because that's how we get copies of things for at least Tech 1 resources and modules and ships. So we will have them copied at some facility, and then another player will use that copy up. And then you can run invention. Invention and reaction are things that are, I think, completely out of reach of alpha clone, so I will not go into details. It's enough to say that these are the activities that you will be able to, well, if you pay for Omega, then these are used to produce tier 2 modules and tier 2 components and tier 2 rigs and so on. It's really time consuming to train a specialized industrial character. I think it takes up from half a year to just get enough skills to barely start producing something. And if you would like to go into actual production of tier 2 ships, then, well, tech 2 ships, then you are really, really up for a long play, because it will take several years to train those skills to get all the bonuses that you would like to have before you start producing. Now, here in the jobs menu, you will see all the jobs that you installed. There will be also a history of the jobs that you have ever installed, so that you can take any historical job and just recreate it. That's a very convenient tool that was introduced, I think, 6 years ago when this whole thing was redesigned. And God bless CCP for inventing this, because this saves so much time. Now, blueprints is the list of all blueprints that you have in your possession. If you are in corporation and you have access to corporate blueprints, you will also be able to see corporate blueprints that are located in some corporate facilities. Now, here you can see that we have this blueprint copy, and we are running currently an activity on it, so it's not really available for anything. And now we have the job completed. When it is completed here, we can see, of course, because we have had this job open all the time, we can just press deliver. But if we were to close this and just reopen industry, obviously there will be no job running. We can still select it from the jobs here, and either press deliver here or right away here in the list, even without selecting it. And just like that, we have produced one useless module, 1 meganewton civilian afterburner. And this means, oh yeah, we need to, of course. Well, let's use the historical job. We don't need to select all active job. We can use, well, history. Select it, and you can see it has status succeeded. In case of production, the jobs always succeed. In case of reverse engineering and invention, there is a probability that the job will not succeed and it will fail, and it will just consume all resources and blueprint runs, and it will not produce anything useful. But there will be no additional penalty besides that, at least. So yeah, now we are producing another one. What else? Yeah, you can see that from here, owners are really different. So some are owned by NPC corporations, Coffee Corporation, Genelution, Republic Fleets, Anomalies. Okay, this one is owned by players. And you can see that facility type is right arrow, which is an engineering complex. And this means that basically there some players have set up an industrial activity, and you can go there, and if you have access to dock on their station, you can deliver your materials and produce there. In some cases, this means that you will be paying some part of this total job cost, not to NPCs, but to actual players, which is good. On the other hand, you are facing the risk that players might just, well, I would not say disappear completely, but they might close access for you to this station, and they might start extorting some money. In case of high security space, and actually in case of any station, the risk that you are taking is that this stuff that you put there will not be accessible for, I think, about 20 days at most. Because basically, whenever you lose access to that station, you can trigger what is called asset safety. And this asset safety will allow you to effectively teleport. The interbus will take your goods from the station and deliver it to the nearest high security space station. So if there is nothing right in the same system, then it will be the nearby system. In case of Null-sec, it will be exported to the nearest low security space NPC owned station. So you will be able to get your loot from there. And this is a good thing, so this reduces your risks as industrialist significantly, although losing access for almost a month to your assets might feel a little bit annoying, especially if you are paying subscription, because when you are paying subscription you want that time count to something, and when you suddenly lose access to all your business, then it's a painful strike. But again, not many players will do that, and when you are doing this kind of business, you are advised to pick reliable partners. I know that Red Frog Freight have some industrial stations available to other players. It's not necessary that these stations will have very low manufacturing index, because, well, a lot of people will probably be busy in those stations, but again, it's a question of choices and priorities. And as you can see, for example, here in Logutur, they're just 3 jumps away, there is one system where system cost index is 3 times less than what we had here. So it is already there, very convenient. It would have been much cheaper to produce there, and here it's 0.38. So yeah. Yeah, I think the way the system works is that basically you have this total job, and then it computes the job cost, and then on top of that you pay what is here set as tax. Here it says for NPC 10% tax. So in case of these, for examples, here they have 1% tax on top of the job cost. So it's not 1% of the total worth of your item, it's 1% of the job costs that you pay to NPCs anyway, like salaries and so on. Also, if you want me to talk about something, if you have any questions, leave them in the chat. I will try to describe things to the best of my abilities. And if you're watching this after the fact on YouTube or on Twitch, then join YouTube channel and leave questions in the comments. I will also try to either make some responses if it is enough to just respond to a question, or I will try even make some videos about specific topics if there is enough interest. So, okay, 1 meganewton civilian afterburner, another useless module. We have just wasted 10 minutes of game time to produce this stuff. Will the game recognize that we have produced it? Let's try to complete mission. Okay, it doesn't matter, so that we did not have. Just press complete and it will be fine. The marker was not updated, does not matter. Let's see what we have. Request mission. And yeah, we have got expanded Cargohold. This is one of the modules that I have been talking about. So when you are using a hauler, you want to expand the default cargo capacity with these modules. These function in such a way that they basically give you flat bonus to cargo capacity. This goes up to, I think, 24% based on Tech 2 modules. 27.5 actually. Yeah, that's a lot. And yeah, these modules don't really have stacking penalties, so these can multiply very quickly. And cargo ships are based and balanced on assumptions that you will actually fit all low slots with Cargohold. So don't think about doing anything else unless you have some really low volume cargoes that you need to have extra protection for. And then, yes, the penalty is that you are having reduced velocity, which means autopiloting gets slower, much slower, because you will have to basically crawl this 10-kilometer distance. And then structure hit point bonus also decreases survivability of your ship. Since those cargo ships are not very tanky to begin with, it might reduce you to the point when you are paper thin. And can be destroyed by a frigate. Maybe. By destroyer for sure. Making more titanium. Okay. Actually, I don't want to mine this. But it says destroyer with drones, so yeah, it's time to fight again. I will not take this mining laser with me. Or actually, I have venture. Let's see what will happen. What's venture capable of? 2 mining lasers and that's it. And since we have no other weapons, yeah, we are still going with slasher. No, I don't want to offline it. I want to remove charge, and I want to group them. And yeah, let's have tracking computer back again. Normally, when you are fitting things in EVE Online, you can install extra modules that don't fit into your CPU and power grid, and you can keep them offline. This is a rarely used feature, but sometimes when you are in exploration and you have some extra high slots that are not taken by your guns, you might take some extra measures of defense, like you can fit a cloak, for example. The problem is that, yeah, you need some energy to activate it when you are going to activate it in the space and not in station. And yeah, warped location. Since those are Rouge drones, we will need to damage them with EMP because they have weakness in EMP. I don't recall now how well we will tank with this explosive hardener, but it doesn't really matter probably. Now, again, yeah, so you will be able to have some extra modules even if they don't fit into your basic fitting, and then have them offline, and then you offline something else during the flight, like I can do, for example, with my tracking computer. Put offline, and yes, and it's offline. I cannot use it anymore, and it does not take power grid or CPU. And in order to put it online, you can see I need 25% of capacitor, so I cannot really do that in battle. Or I maybe can in this one, but I will need to take some time. And the thing is that once I try to online a module, it will also drain my capacitor really badly. So not only it needs 95% level, it also will take, I think, down to 20% or so. Put online. Yeah, we're now at 37. Yeah, and you can see that it starts regenerating really quickly because we are closer to this 25-30% maximum regeneration. Okay, good. We have cleaned up this asteroid belt, and now we can dock. And we still will have to mine this. Okay. That's good that we have now Venture, because basically Venture will have enough bonuses to mine this 7000 titanium much faster. Let's reread this just in case. Actually, it doesn't say that we have to mine it, because if we don't, I would rather reprocess some of the modules that we have, the extra ones. For example, well, let's reprocess this core probe launcher. I don't think we need one. Oh no, it will only have 235. That's not enough titanium. Fine. Where was that burst? I feel like I want to reprocess a burst. I'm sorry to those burst fans or logistic pilots around me, but I will do this sacrifice. Yeah, it gives us a lot of titanium. I don't want to do this mission, sorry. It's too slow. And really, the game so far have already demonstrated all the points of mining. Basically, go there, mine it, bring it, reprocess it. Accept it. We need to have it in our cargo hold, it says, but we really don't. We can complete mission? Yes, we can complete mission. We have sacrificed probe for 1,000 units of titanium. That was not very big profit. Teladi are upset. Let's see, now we are explained how to haul things. We just need to take this one crate of electronics and deliver it to the destination. And I will immediately use this link that we have for the solar system to get back. Okay, now we are going to travel 5 jumps one way and then 5 jumps another way. And let's not do this manually, because we don't really have to. Let's plug in overdrive injector systems. We now have 600 meters per second speed, which is pretty fast. And don't forget to pick up the cargo into the Cargohold. Where is it? Oh yeah, of course we need to accept it first. And we take crates of electronics with us into Slasher. And we need to undock, of course. And now we are going to autopilot it. The reason why I'm autopiloting it is because when you have so much speed, you really don't care about this 10-kilometer penalty when you are flying. And at the same time, we can do something useful. Let's farm some more project discovery. Okay, now you can see that it did not indicate that this was a right answer or false answer. It just said submitted. And this is the point where we actually have reached the samples that have not been labeled by professional scientists for the training purposes. So now we are basically living on consensus with other players. So if other players see here a cell and an area where a seal might be. Okay, this one is a labeled one. Then yeah, then our accuracy will go up. If they don't, but we say that there is, then our accuracy will go down. But this is basically a consensus based thing. So the more people say that there is, then the higher chance that we will have this kind of positive growth in our accuracy. In the years of playing EVE, since this Project Discovery first was introduced as a gameplay mechanic, I actually think this one is the easiest from the perspective of getting any accuracy or interpretation. There have been different tasks that were in some cases very confusing, so the data there was, well, let's say in terms of scientific research, not very clear or evident of something. So in this case, yeah. Okay. That's sad. That is really sad. So we cannot really farm this. So yeah. Take your time and submit as much as you can every day, because this will give you very nice loot that you can sell. And because you are a new player, what is not so expensive for another, like some skin that you can get from these loot boxes that is cost, I don't know, maybe 1 million, 1.5 million ISK, it's a lot of money for you, and it will make your path towards cruisers and battle cruisers so much faster. Much faster than mining. Okay, now that we are actually running out of passive income that we can do while hauling and flying, let's start using micro warp drive and start doing a little bit of manual piloting. So even if you are on autopilot, whenever you enter the system, you will have automatically selected next target here, and all you need is just spam jump button faster than autopilot will trigger warp sequence, which is typically like 10 to 15 seconds. So first of all, you will speed up the process of you warping out, and second, you will warp to 0 instead. And if you get distracted by anything else, you will still be on autopilot, so that you don't waste time standing on some gate or standing in the gate cloak after you have jumped. And let's also consider how can we make planetary interaction. I wonder if what kind of limitations are here. Okay, we really cannot do much. We can put still one planet. And I think we will be able, we will be able to put one command center probably. The only problem with command centers at the moment for us is that they are quite bulky. So I think they are 1000 cubic meters. Yeah, 1000 cubic meters. So, well, okay, let's first complete this mission. And undock and fly back. And while we're doing this, we might think about two things. First, where we can get a hauler, because that is what we need to carry things around quickly, and also to install those parent command centers. There are 8 types of planets in EVE Online. As you can see, each of them has their specific command center. So, for example, you can see here in the background, it was just a lava planet, very notable, very red and shiny. And then we would have had to buy one of these and take it into our cargo and undock, and then we will be able to deploy it. Let's see if we can actually do that with Alpha. So in order to do that, we will need a hauler. And to get a hauler, let's search market. Industrial ships and standard industrial ships and Minmatar, because that's what we are trained for. Okay, these look quite expensive for us at the moment, although RIS is more affordable. And it has enough cargo space. And it's also actually in the destination system. It's actually on the station where we are doing our mission. So why not? How much ISK we have now? 3.8 million. Yeah, let's buy one. And also let's look for well, actually probably we'll just do that when we arrive, but we can do that here. Let's look for a planet. That's what I wanted to say. So here we have a list of all planets in the solar system. Barren, 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 gas, oceanic. It's a difficult question what would be good idea to produce using alpha skills, if it is even possible. Let's see. But on the other hand, we are just going to pay 81,000 ISK for one command center, and this is not a lot. So let's just buy one gas command center and see if we can actually set up some industry there at all. Okay, and we will have... Okay, yeah, sure. No, we're not going to buy it that at this price point, when we can just get one system away by our hauler. So the plan is to just dock up, jump into our hauler, and then once we have it flying, get to the next system, pick up and buy and pick up the command center, go back to the system where we have training agents, and try installing it. And now I wonder what happened to my mouse control, because I cannot change camera. Okay, yeah, probably that's because I have had something. I don't know. That's weird. But now it works, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so we have our res. Let's assemble it. Let's change name as usual. It's always good to have a hauler for multiple reasons. One is that this whole collection of ships is something that we will have to actually move. It's not that we can just sit here forever. And we now have those expanded cargo holds also. Yeah, as you can see, we can fit a lot of modules into a cargo ship, but yeah, and we have bumped our capacity to 4,200. Not much, but that's something. Let's fly and pick up this command center and then go back. Also, you can basically the question is where you can find the goodies that you have earned through discovery, and they are here in your redeemable objects. So here I have some skill point caches and some credits, and then one skin, and then biology skill. Okay, and then some modules. All this stuff. Okay, so skill points I can redeem once I dock up, because they will stay with my character and they are not going to go anywhere, and that's good, so they don't expire. Money is the same thing, and biology book I can redeem and eject and forget about it. Now, the other things I would not redeem immediately, because I want to first reach to some real trade hub, so that I don't really have to haul all this stuff with me when I move away from the training station. So let's just wait with that for some time. Okay, actually it says here that it doesn't really matter, so I can redeem it. Yeah, it works. So yeah, we can redeem this stuff directly in space, it doesn't matter. Yeah, we now have all those skill points applied. And the skin also, yeah, because it is not basically sellable, it's fine. But all this stuff, yeah. The biology book can be now redeemed to current station, yes. And we can just inject it into our brain and carry it there. It also, for some reason, has no volume at all, so. And yeah, what we were looking for is a gas command center. Buy one in this station, and we have it here, and put it into our wrath and go back. You can see that those haulers are not actually easily available in the training mission systems, because players have to actually produce them and to bring there, and that's not really a big market. People don't really consider that novice players will have to do something with all their ships. Probably they just set up some buy orders cheaply to get all those ships for themselves. And as with many Minmatar ships, this one looks like a pile of metal. Like just a flying box made of rusty metal. That's intentional. So, yeah. And once again, I remind you that if you have any questions about what I'm doing, and if you are a new player, feel free to ask them. And if you are not a new player even, and if you have something that you want to know about EVE Online, maybe I can help you, because I have some experience under my belt. I have seen a lot of different playstyles. And if I cannot at least help you immediately, then I will do my research and maybe make a separate video about it. Okay, yeah, I didn't really need to dock. That was wrong. So undocking and just breaking immediately, because we don't want to get too far from undock range, because that's all we need to do is just sit here. And actually we can use Q to place a marker, and our ship will automatically navigate back to that point and try to hold there. Now let's try to place it. I think in order to do that we need to just select a planet, basically, for example this one, and view planetary industry. And now we need... Okay, so we can we? Yes, we can place a command center, but we will not be able to get anything out of it. So here, yeah, in order to get any export from the planet, we will need to be an Omega clone. That's a shame. But if you are interested in this, and if you want me to give some hints on how to set up basic extraction things, and let me know here on YouTube channel in comments under this stream or other streams, and I will make a video either with this character or with my Omega characters when I get some subscription time for them. Probably for alpha clones this one is not really interesting to watch. Okay, let's see then. Yeah, and we have deployed that command center, so it's now on the planet and we don't have it in the cargo anymore. What do we have here? They ask us to produce cap boosters. This is, yeah, one of the ammunition types of things. This one is used with capacitor booster module that allows you to basically, well, this is effectively a mana potion. This regenerates your capacitor or energy of your ship immediately on activation. And these are the charges that are used with that module. And we will have capacitor booster blueprint with us. And let's start this industry job. Let's see if we have enough materials. We don't. Yeah, we need to go to blueprint tab because we want the game to find all our blueprints. And we need to have 20 of them, so we need to do 2 job runs. You can see that this one produces 10 units per run. And in case of ammunition, you will have even several thousands of units of ammunition per run. And yeah, it turns out we have enough materials for everything. So just start it. And let's do another agent in the process, because this is just ridiculous. We don't want to wait that much. Okay, this one says that we need to just do some hauling. And because it is a hauling one station away, and we need to haul a very small cargo, we are going to use Slasher because it's fast. Except, if you ever want to train, well, basically progress some stand-in with some corporation, with some empire, or specifically with a corporation, then, as I told you, it's a good idea to use those hauling missions for that, because they will not give you a lot of money, but they will progress your stand-in very quickly. And the thing is that for level 1 hauling missions, you can easily use a frigate, and I think even with level 2 missions you can still use a frigate. And for level 3 and 4 you can use those fast cargo haulers, and you can rig them in such way that they are really fast in warp, almost as frigate fast, and that will make your progress that much more smooth. So don't think that if you are doing hauling mission you need a hauler all the time. Sometimes a small and agile ship is a better hauler than dedicated freighter. Actually, if you want to go into trading, you don't have to have haulers or freighters either. Some materials in EVE Online are so small and take so little volume that you can trade them and hold them from one station to another and sell them at a profit, basically by using frigates. This is especially true if you will use some Omega skills. For example, if you will train a covertops cloaking device, then you can use even Asteroid, the ship I mentioned before, the Sisters of Eve exploration frigate. It is basically the only Tech 1 frigate, although faction 1, but still Tech 1, that is capable of using covertops cloak. And this gives it ability to basically be your quick to get cloaky haulers that can haul very expensive things. If you do this accurately, then you can put pretty much any amount of value in your cargo and haul it. Just don't do that on autopilot, and don't let other people ever uncloak you. So you have to be careful about that. And I will give some hints about how to haul securely in some later streams when we get to some values, some volumes of resources that might make us gankable by people. When you have things under 5 million, it's not really worth for anybody to bother, unless they want to do it just for fun, but then it doesn't really matter what you are flying or what you are flying in your cargo. So, okay. That is not a hauling mission. That is basically a combat mission, but maybe with some little combat. And since we are flying Slasher, which is now fitted for combat, we really don't care. It's Angel Cartel, so it's explosive damage, and we have resistance for that. Once again, I remind that the reason why I'm shield tanking this ship as a Minmatar is because it has very high explosive resistance by default. As any Tech 1 ship, there is always high resistance on kinetic and explosive and shield, and then EM and thermal on armor. So if you want to fight pirates that are doing explosive, you want to train for shield primarily and find ships that will be good with shield tanking. And then otherwise, if you are going against, for example, Amar-specific Sancha or Blood Raiders, then there you will want to have EM and thermal as your resistances, and then you want to have high armor. Interestingly enough, Galente and Caldari are a little bit at disadvantage here, because neither ship in basically starter pool, the Tech 1 ships, has any extra resistances to kinetic and thermal, and because of that, the pirates that are specific to both Caldari and Galente that deal thermal and kinetic in a mix, but Galente pirates do a little bit more thermal and Caldari pirates do a little bit more kinetic. These pirates are much more painful to deal with because of these small differences in resistances, but yeah. And similarly, you don't really have, good capability of selecting your damage type with either Galente or Caldari. Oh, okay, with Caldari you can use rockets, and with Galente you can use drones. So disregard that. You can do select damage, but it is a little bit limited because your primary gun system is always thermal kinetic. Okay, this one we are doing. And this one we need to accept and fly somewhere and loot up things. And shoot up things probably. So a little bit of planning about this stream. I hope I will finish these 2 career agents today. And in the next stream I will focus on the advanced military training and maybe moving things to the place where we need to be to start our Sisters of Eve story arc. And maybe talk a little bit about hauling and packing and hints for that. And then after that we will start doing the actual Sisters of Eve story arc that is available and actually very easily completable in novice character, even alpha character. And this one also gives a very good payout in terms of money. I guess the whole point of mission is that we really don't need to kill this angel rookie. Probably we just need to get to this wreck. Okay. This needs specialized equipment. Yeah. And I messed this up. I should have taken the black box key with me. Always check what mission says. I didn't expect that these training missions will require this, and I did this 10 years ago last time, so I obviously didn't remember that there are such missions. But many times actually in EVE Online, if you are doing mission running, you will have to either get a key from pirate drop from some of the ships, or you will be granted it with you and you need to put it in the cargo. Or even you might need to take it from another mission to get into some bonus locations. So gas pass key is not what we need. And yeah, probably the black box drops from the pirate. Again, this is a little bit an overkill. In most missions, you will need to kill everything before you are even able to think about accessing the cargo, so the game will prevent you, but there will be no specific item to do that. So this is even more surprising to me that this is implemented in such a way, but again, as a part of military careers, it would have been a reasonable choice to expect this, but it's good to have micro warp drive for this purpose, because basically this cuts down the time that is required. Okay, there is no black box here. What's going on? Use salvaging module I gave you. Nah. So this is how we are supposed to learn about salvaging, I see. Salvaging by module is not a very good idea nowadays, because well, again, about 5 or 6 years ago, CCP introduced salvage drones. And those drones, while not as powerful for strong enemies, which have high resistance to salvaging, they will be very useful for you to salvage small things around you while you are doing missions, especially if your ship is not doing damage with drones. Where is Salvager? Civilian Salvager, okay. And I think I can fit, yes, as you can see, it does not take a turret slot, so I can fit it there in this extra slot. This is one thing that you can have as a bonus. There are also some useful items, actually useful for sustaining your energy, like vampires, energy vampires, modules that you can use to basically refill your own capacitor from a target. These are especially good because NPCs don't really have, let's say, capacitors that you can drain. So whenever you are activating this what's called Nosferatu or Energy Vampire module on an NPC, it will always succeed and it will always give you some energy. So you can pick one weak enemy that does not deal a lot of damage and leave it flying around while you drain some power out of it. In PvP, they are also very useful to counter some energy destroying modules that will do more damage to your capacitor but will not recover anything of that to the person who attacks you with that module. Energy warfare is actually primary, one of the two specializations of AMAR warfare, electronic warfare. So AMARs will have ships that specialize in just draining out your energy and recovering your energy with these modules and so on. As you can see, AMARs are very energy dependent, and the AMAR pirate faction Blood Raiders are actually Blood Raiders just because of that. They are, well, big fans of draining energy, draining blood of your spaceship. How much time it takes? Now, yeah, as you can see, salvaging is not an instant success. Every time there is a salvage cycle, there is a probability which is based on the strength of the salvager and the strength of the wreck. And when the strength of the wreck is so high that your salvager is unable to do anything to it ever, you will get a message about that. So you will get information that it's no use of just waiting a lot of time. In the worst case, when you still can loot something, it might take, well, 5, even 10 minutes in the worst cases if you get extremely unlucky, because it's basically random based at this point. And this is where I return to the question of mining salvage drones, because salvage drones are such a good thing that you can, if NPCs are not agreeing at them, which they rarely do at the beginning, you can just deploy them, and then you just let them fly. And they will find all the wrecks around you, they will automatically target them, they will automatically salvage them and go for the next one. So it's a very useful thing. And if you don't specialize in drones, and if you fly a ship that does not specialize in drone warfare, then you don't really... then you can utilize this to a very high degree. Okay, now we have unlocked it. Typically when you do salvaging, you will just get salvage right into your cargo and the wreck will turn into a cargo container if there is something inside. But in this case, this is basically the old mechanic. In old game, in the old version before they introduced this Relic minigame, salvaging modules were actually used to salvage Relic sites. And back then, that was basically how it works. So you would use, okay, not all of them, but at least some of them were using salvaging. and you would have you would fly to that site, and you will find some wrecks, and you would use the salvaging module to unlock the container, and then you would loot it. And so this tutorial is a remnant of that old mechanic. Do we have industry completed? Not yet? No, we do. Okay, good. Let's complete this mission. Okay, now they want us to sell this to another person. 20,000 cubic meters, 20 cubic meters, sorry. And yeah, let's fly there. That should be quick. Well, interestingly enough, I don't play a long time. I only play for like 10 years, 11 years, I don't recall exactly. My first character is not even the characters that I have now main, as my main. My first character I have abandoned, I think 2 years after the game. I sold it on the character auction, because it was at that point a very hefty mix of military and industrial skills that I decided that it's not efficient, and I decided to just go and retrain eventually. So I sold it and got some plexes and started from scratch, but well. The interesting thing is that the person who bought that character played it, I think, for a couple of months, and the character is now in permanent freeze. It's just there. Let's see. Another thing of EVE Online interface that have been added, well, recently, again, 7-8 years ago maybe, is this search box that you can use to search any object in New Eden. Previously, in order to do that, you would have used chat. So yeah, this is my first character. And you can see that it has been pretty much inactive in exploration of the universe team for 9 years, 8 months and 3 days. Yeah. And this is the last time when I still owned it, in 2011. Yeah, okay, so that makes 11 years and some days. Complete mission. We will get one civilian Minmatar shuttle. What? What is a civilian Minmatar shuttle? Minmatar shuttle. Why civilian? Okay, maybe there was some renaming done recently, and I am not aware of that. But previously they were just Minmatar shuttles. I don't believe there will be. This is some kind of special item. Shuttles were a better way to travel around the universe when I started playing. Then I would say they were more or less succumbed to just flying a frigate that is fitted for travel. And nowadays they are back into their former glory with passive interdiction nullification, because this gives them ability to a little bit more secure travel through Null-sec. It's still not 100% secure travel anyway, because you will still have the chance that somebody will catch you quickly with a fast locking ship when you are departing from the gate, if there is a camp and somebody watches for incoming people. But in many cases that is already something that you have this notification available. Again, that depends on the price of your implants and hard wirings if you fly nothing, and if your home base is set to the citadel in Null-sec where you reside, then what have you lose except for that shuttle? I think they did. They reworked this Relic and hacking system in 2014. I remember because I at that point was in Reykjavik on this famous FunFest, and yeah, this is when it was announced. So maybe you just have not been part of that, you have not played it much, because as far as I recall, the interesting thing is that before they reworked this hacking and relic salvaging, hacking was dominating in terms of income. It was not very good, but I actually made a lot of money when I first started exploring and hacking. And then after rework, the salvaging and relics, especially when they remove basically. So the story was like that. They initially planned to have this activity for 2 players. So after this mini game, you would have had a spewing pool of containers and items, like small ones, that you have to click very, very fast. And the problem is that you would not be able to do that alone. So you will basically lose part of the drop randomly. And you were advised to bring a friend with you, so they intended this to be like a 2-person activity. And after players rebounded and said that, oh my god, this is unbearable, and nobody is going to actually do that in their mind, then CCP just removed this feature and just let people have this double drop. And from that point, the actual relic sites became much more lucrative, like times more lucrative than hacking. And also at that point, data cores were already dropping down in price a lot, because a lot of people have trained skills necessary to get data cores from NPCs passively, and they were pretty much worthless, and hacking become just that question, whether you are going to get some good decoder, I don't remember how they're called now, but basically those crystals that modify that probability of invention. If you are an alpha player, that's nothing for you to bother. Just consider that there is a good loot in hacking from time to time, but most of the loot that you find there is complete garbage. Okay, mine again, reprocess again. That's another interesting thing. So we're doing mining in the industry career path agent, and now we are doing it again in the business path agent. This says a lot of about old career agent system, because they are, well, not really well planned. I think these career agents have been unchanged more or less since, I don't know, maybe since the beginning of EVE. At least for the 11 years that I have been playing. Maybe I should have fitted Venture already. We would have had at least something for that flying and mining. But I guess for the purpose of this mission, we just need to trigger mining and get something. And once we have this trigger completed, we can just deliver any tritanium that we find. Okay, another Asteroid. Yeah, they will give us reprocessing skill. There are multiple skills in the reprocessing branch. So this starts with this one, and then it goes to, I think, yeah, so there will be individual material types, so efficiency of processing specifically Veldspar. And then, yeah, so you have 5 for the minerals that are commonly available in high sec, and then some of them in low sec, and then you will have the 4 that are available in null-sec space and low-sec space. And then also reprocessing efficiency. So first skill, reprocessing, and then you get reprocessing efficiency. Okay, yeah. These are high sec cores, these are low sec cores, and these are null sec ores, and these are the rarest ores, and then you have also moon goo. So you can imagine that getting this reprocessing efficiency to level 5 is basically the way to ensure that you are able to process at the best possible way. But then you need to also train individual ores to level 5. And then you need to have a station that has tier 2 rig built into it, which costs a lot of money. And yeah, okay, we don't need more. Another cool thing about mining, especially mining with lasers, you can stop them early. For example, if I activate this mining laser and it cycles a little bit, and then I disable it, then okay, yeah, I'm not getting any ore anymore because my cargo is already full, but the point is that if I had any space, it would have been granting me the part of the mining cycle, the ore that I would have mined by that time. So if you are into mining and you think if you have like if you have filled most of your cargo but you want to stop at the moment, and you don't really have to wait for the end of the last cycle. Considering that mining lasers have short cycle, and then the advanced modules that you will get for mining barges, which is called strip mining lasers, they are having, I think, 3-minute cycle by default. So you really want to interrupt that early. We get another civilian data analyzer. Which means that we need one. To complete this mission, and then let's still keep this and explosive and guns, just in case. And yeah, we definitely want to take out this Veldspar. As you have noticed, I didn't refine actually Veldspar. When the moment I docked, I was able to complete mission with whatever titanium I had left, so yeah. So much for mining all that stuff. Let's see if we can continue with another mission at the same time. So yeah, this one is just manufacture. We don't really need to have a cargo container, cargo capacity to fit a shuttle in our cargo bay, because it will be manufactured on this station. So the moment it will be manufactured, we will be able to just deliver it. So let's start manufacturing one while we are doing the other mission. And this is how the industry goes, more or less. So you basically have something to produce, and you supply yourself with materials and you keep it running in the background. There is nothing more to that. And it's a really good income if you just start, because, for example, again, in previous years, there existed a skill that would give you material efficiency, but it was cancelled. So when they did their work of industry, the material efficiency skill was removed, and basically every single player in the game has the same basic capacity to produce items efficiently. Before that, it was like 10% from the skill, so you would train level 4 very quickly and you would have 8%, but this 2% margin made a lot of difference, and people were unable to produce things efficiently because of that. Now we need to go to encounter of this one and switch to the other mission. Let's have fusion preloaded in case we have some angel pirates. Probably we will see maybe 1-2 ships and then a container that we'll need to hack, and it's probably going to have the same old mechanic rather than this new gameplay, but let's see. So data storage device and angel rookie. Okay, the rookie is gone. And let's see what... Oh, okay, the mini game. Hello. We now have less virus coherence and strength than we had with normal hacking module. 4, 3... Okay, apparently there is nothing here. 2... And yeah, we have a firewall. 1... Okay, yeah, the special node is something that is that needs to be uncovered. So the firewalls and yeah, now we're going to kill it, and it will not retaliate, so we will survive. The special nodes, when they are containing loot, they will not actually show you that loot immediately. Instead, they will show you a white dot, and that white dot instead can still be something negative, or it can be something positive, and you can decide whether you want to loot it immediately, or if you want to go a little bit further away from that node, spread your connections, and after you have spread those connections, you can more or less try to just open it, and if it is something bad, you don't really have to kill it in many cases, because you will basically have already access to everything else that it might block. This kind of logic. So this gameplay is actually very strategic, and if you play it well, you can succeed hacking difficult containers even with low skills and with low quality equipment. The drawback is that, for example, if you go to wormhole space, where you will have find the hardest containers, or null-sec space, you will have issue concentrating on the game, or you will have issue concentrating on your own security, because there will be players that will try to kill you eventually, and the risk that you will go and just focus on completing the game for a couple of minutes and think about it carefully and not notice anything around you, well, that's very high risk. You will be just killed and lose everything that you have just looted. Not to mention your ship, which might be not expensive one, but... Just transport. Okay. A lot of systems, but nothing special here. We still have our shuttle being manufactured, and we need to have encoded data ship. Oh, we have earned 1 data core. This is how they look like, but instead of basic civilian tech, we will, when you are succeeding with hacking, you will often get some other name of a skill. So you will have something like plasma manipulation or something like that. And those data cores are basically specific for that particular purpose and for particular blueprint that you are manufacturing. So each blueprint will have a combination of, I think, 2 data cores, and yeah, you will need to provide some amount of those data cores of specific type. This means that some data cores are more expensive than the others because basically, well, some modules are more in a higher demand than others, and you still get more or less random distribution of those data cores from the drop. All in all, I would say that TCP is long overdue on balancing this kind of exploration activities because the cost of data cores is laughable. Maybe those skills should be given some other purpose than just generating passive, well, not even income anymore, because there is so many people with so many trained skills to receive data cores passively from NPCs. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, there is this science tab, and then yeah, you can see there is a lot of different data core types that are associated with the skills. So you will have data core high energy physics, but the point is that you have, I think, not research, but yeah, research project management. So this research project management skill, when trained, allows you to passively receive points for data cores from an NPC agent. And this works in such a way that you basically go to an NPC agent, start an R&D project, and, well, just wait. Half a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years later, you might pop up into that to that agent and loot some hefty amount of data cores. And you don't have to do anything else. And then you restart the project. And the point is that, yeah, it's completely passive. So passive that you don't really have to, I think, have Omega subscription for all the time that you are doing this. And that's why the amount of data cores produced this way is ridiculous. They were not so much. And people who do hard work and get these data cores from hacking, they receive less loot than they would have otherwise. You can notice that I have just warped, and I warped very far away, and my ship stopped in the middle. That is because my ship currently does not have enough capacitor to warp far enough. When you are warping, the ship will consume some capacitor, and if you don't have enough, then yeah, it will just fly as far as it can. The thing is that there are skills that affect this. That reduce the amount of capacitor that is consumed. The amount of capacitor that is consumed is obviously affected by the ship itself, and it is also affected by rigs, distance, the speed of the ship. So the more time you need to fly, the more capacitor it takes. So if you increase warp speed, then you reduce the amount of energy that is taken by these jumps. This gets problematic sometimes for long systems that have very, very huge distances between gates. Like I think some systems in even life span more than 300 astronomical units. And if you are flying a cargo ship, which in general is not fitted to have high capacitor, you will have problems when you are a novice, when you are basically an alpha character. You will have some limitation in that aspect. Just don't be scared. And if you are stuck in such situation where you will have, like, if you will stop in the middle, let's say, then don't jump into warp right away, because what you will do, you will just consume what have just regenerated, and you will fly another small step, very small, even smaller than before. and you need to wait for your capacitor to recharge, I would say 90-95% before you can do that. I don't know about this change, but let's see, because there have been some industry changes recently, that's true. Unfortunately, last time I checked, I did invention was half a year ago, and back then it was not yet implemented. But it's actually easy to check. Just one moment, I will see if prices of data cores changed in EVE Market database. For those who are just starting, and this is one of the good thing about EVE Online, that CCP does provide a programming interface for people who would like to develop their own external services. And one of such services is one of those programming interfaces is information about markets in the game. So online, for example, evemarketeer.com or other places. I will write it here in the chat so that you see. Yeah, so this web page. If you go there, you will be able to look up the prices of items across New Eden. So for datacore, this functions similarly to your normal market prices. Well, I don't know. I would say even if CCP rebalanced something, the prices have not changed noticeably. The thing is that data core price, for example, for high energy physics, which is basically used for many types of guns and ammunition, it has been in the last about 2 years at the peak 125,000, 25th of May, 1 year ago. Yeah, so exactly 1 year ago it was at the highest. And right now it's about 90,000. So I would say that even if there was a rebalance, they didn't succeed. Again, the problem here is not that they would add those as a material requirement. The problem is supply. The problem is that this supply is virtually unlimited. You can have a lot of characters trained by this time, and with skill injection available, you can basically buy yourself into this investment. Also, not all of the items from data sites are completely useless. There are some items that have been previously used also in the storyline blueprints, and some, well, basically those special storyline modules. They manufactured not only from minerals, but also they require sometimes some components that are available only in the hacking. And then, as far as I know, there is also a chance to get some blueprint for transcendence implants, I think. Blueprints for some deployable modules like mobile cargo deposits, mobile depots, tractor beams, mobile tractor beams. So yeah, there is some stuff. The problem is that this stuff is quite rare, and maybe it's a good thing that it is, because otherwise it would be also the same supply problem. And again, the same system, and you can see this 105 astronomical units is just too far. One thing that hinders this one is micro warp drive. Micro warp drive modules have penalty to ship's capacitor, and this penalty is actually variable. Some micro warp drive has less of a penalty, others have more penalty, and so on. And yeah, this is a trade-off that you pay also for using micro warp drive. That's why micro warp drive are not really advisable for PvE content until you reach some skills that will allow you to fly sustainable capacitor ships. Before that, micro warp drive is going to just hurt you a lot. Because 25% penalty is actually equivalent of one recharger, capacitor recharger, or maybe even more than that. I need to check. There are many modules that can be used in EVE Online to alter different properties, including the regeneration of capacitors, the size of capacitors. So for the size, you will have batteries. For regeneration, you will have those capacitor recharger modules. And both types require either CPU or power grid or slots. Well, actually both of them require slots, so they are expensive. And if you want to do capacitor regeneration, sustainable capacitor regeneration for active tanking, you usually end up in a situation where you will have all of your slots filled with some kind of capacitor regeneration module just to get those repair modules up and running non-stop. And this makes this 25% very, very annoying. Not to mention that when you activate micro warp drive, it actually drains a lot of energy just for using as well, because but again, on the other hand, there are some content types where you are able to do kiting, and kiting effectively requires you to have micro warp drive so that you are faster than all of your enemies ever, and it helps a lot if you just do this, because when you kite, when you're outside of range of attack of all of your enemies potentially, then they don't do damage, so you don't have to tank. Then you don't have to bother with active tanking, then you don't have to bother with capacitor recharging. Then you only need to have enough energy to run the micro warp drive itself, which is difficult, but it is possible. It is not really that hard to achieve stability for just micro warp drive. Mine some more. What do we have here? Green item. Seriously, just that. We have one. We can just... I hope it is the right type. No, it's not. It's a meta version, so we will not be able to give it. Well... Can we buy one? Yes, we can. Okay, fine. Thank you for that. Thank you to the person who brought this here. We can just accept this mission, buy it from the market, complete this mission, request new mission. Mass production is one of the skills that as an industrialist you want to have. Unfortunately, as an alpha clone, you will not have access to it. Mass production basically allows you to have more than one industrial... Oh, actually, interesting. You can train it to level 3. That's very good. That makes your industrial activity so much more possible. The thing is with mass production that usually with industry you have just n amount of lines. So here you can see we have 0 of 1 manufacturing jobs running, 0 of 1 science, and 0 of 1 reactions. So reactions we can forget about because they require station and specialized module, and you won't be able to do that alone very quickly from the beginning. But manufacturing, as you can see, is very easily possible, and science is as well. I don't see a reason why you cannot have multiple, well, why you cannot do a copying job or research some material efficiency on a board blueprint. Why not? So yeah, mass production adds you more lines here, so you will be able to run 0 or up to 4 jobs at the same time if you train this to level 3. This effectively multiplies the capacity to manufacture something, and that's good. That's so good that I will actually train it right now. And let's see what can be done with industry in EVE Online as an alpha player. Okay, I cannot train it because I need industry level 3 first. Okay, fine. Let's have it. No, I don't want to do that at the moment. Skill planning feels like some annoying thing that CCP intentionally added to make life of capsuleers on alpha harder, but no, it's actually the opposite. This limited skill queue was in the EVE Online from the day one, and it has been removed when CCP introduced Omega clones. So when you play alpha, you actually play EVE Online that is closer to what it was before in that aspect. Again, acquire goods, bring them. Basic elementary, okay, fine. And we need Relic analyzer to run this one. So our ship's getting messed up again. We're going to clear this group, leave one mining laser there, remove data analyzer we no longer need. We will use civilian relic analyzer instead, and we can do these missions at the same time, I think. Just undock, fly to one, complete, fly to another. I need fusion here, and let's see. Okay, some pirates. Ancient acceleration gate. And some asteroids. Okay. That's why I guess we need Relic Analyzer. Because we need to activate it. One thing when you are doing PvP in EVE Online, and actually not only when you're doing PvP, is pulsing cycles on micro warp drive. You can do that manually by activating micro warp drive and then deactivating it immediately, what I did right now. Or, as with any other modules, you can right click and set auto repeat off. This helps you by reducing basically the amount of clicks you have to do. And in this particular case, it helps us to target our enemies, because it is us who has larger signature because of using micro warp drive, and they don't. So for them it is. For them we are just as easy target as if we were not using it, and for us they become harder targets if we use micro warp drive, because we are moving at a very high speed and we are creating a lot of angular velocity. Now, okay. Can I? Yeah, I can just access it. Interesting. And another pulse. That would be definitely enough to just go through these 20 kilometers and change target to GST and lock and shoot. And shoot another one. And lock that target container and analyze. And the same, 4, 4, 4. Okay, I think this side is empty. 3, 2, and then we are stuck with random firewall. Getting some damage. 1. So somewhere here probably, because here we had 2. Okay, this one is also possible. 1. Okay. Yeah. And now we have it. Hack successful. Elementary. Loot. Dock. No, not dock. We are going to another one. We still need to do some mining. By the way, if you are not following my YouTube channel, I've made, or at least I tried to make a crude replica of Slasher in Kerbal Space Program, and it actually flies in the atmosphere, surprisingly. I would not say I didn't try hard enough to make it so, but it is surprising that it is even possible. This shape is not really aerodynamic if you really consider all the things here. Okay, let's mine and wait for pirates to show up. What can we do in the process? Yeah, this is a planetary industry screen. Here we will have list of all our planets available. Unfortunately for alpha characters, this is quite useless information. Unless you want to start as alpha and accumulate some resources on the planet, and then when you become omega get it out of there, but still, that would be just one planet, and without upgrades you will not get a lot of storage space to store anything actually. This is the journal. Here we have different missions that are available. See this offered status or accepted by us, and this is where all those research projects that I have mentioned would have been if I had any. And then yeah, incursions loyalty point. Incursions are an interesting but rather endgame content. You need to have some ship so that you will have, but basically you have to have some decently trained ship so that you are efficient in your role. Typically you will be in a role of damage dealer. Of course, other Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so for incursion, logistics or healer role is not really that easily available, because you will have to have a lot of omega skills to fly tier 2 tech 2 ships specializing in logistics, and other ships are not really taken into the fleet because... Okay, let's find... Yeah, it's enough space. And we can dock. Yeah, about market orders. So whenever you have assets, you can actually sell them. And yeah, basically every activity happens somewhere in the universe on some station, either owned by players or owned by NPCs. And you will have this kind of orders listed. Those are basically orders placed by people for sale. In this case, it is located in Rens, which is a local Minmatar trading hub. It is probably one of, I think it is one of the smallest trading hubs, even though it is like a central for Minmatar, because it's not very, because Minmatar region is not very populated by people for some reason. People prefer Jita, so Caldari space and Amar very heavily. In previous years, before there was when it was possible to directly fly from one to another, it was just like 10 jumps, but nowadays, because of Triglavian invasion, it takes a lot more. Complete. So yeah, when you want to sell something, if you have it in your hangar on a station, you basically just need to right click it and then sell this item. And then you have different options. So this is like a default screen, and here you can select if you want to sell this item immediately, and this means that you will try to sell it to the highest bidder available on the station currently, or in the place where you are selling it. Or you can select one of the intervals. Basically, going with anything shorter than 3 months makes no sense. You are going to pay a broker fee, in this case 12.5% of the price that you are setting. Not any estimate, but the price that you're declaring by yourself. And in addition to that, you are going to pay sales tax when you have the item sold. And so this sums up how much you will get from selling it. And then there is indicator for regional average, how this item is appraised in this region based on previous sale history. This is somewhat useful indicator, but it is really useful in the regions, first of all, where you have some trade hub, because not all regions do. And then in the regions, basically Amar and Jita will have good estimates because of good trade volumes, and then everything else will have some more fluctuations in this number. And you don't have to sell just one item at a time. You can drag and drop things, well, not this one probably, but Mexalon, for example, and you will be able to sell more. You can drag and drop significant chunk of your inventory, and it will add everything. It will look up some prices. This is like, I think it will try to look for the lowest, the regional average maybe. I don't know. I really don't know where these prices come from, but the point is that you don't really want to follow them. You want to set them up yourself. And yeah, once you are ready, you just press sell and you will create a bunch of orders. As a new player, you will have a lot of limitations there. Basically, let's see, I think it goes in the inventory. Oh, sorry, in the wallet. What? So this is a list of all transactions that I have made so far. Okay, I need some time to find this in the new interface, but there is basically a list Oh yeah, this one, this button, market orders now. So here I have my orders, list of everything that I'm selling or I am buying. You can also buy things the same way. So you can say I want to buy, well, small armor repairer by this type, and you can say go to advanced mode and select I want to have 10 of them, and I have 3 months to wait. So people can bring new things within for 3 months continuously, and I'm okay that this item is delivered to me anywhere within 30 jumps, or just this station, or within this solar system. And that's it. And I set up some price. So I want to buy it at 1 ISK. If you deliver it to me for 1 ISK, I am okay if you have it 40 jumps away. And I set a buy order. It costs at least the minimum amount, which is 100 ISK in broker fee. And that appears here. So you can see now here, I have 12 out of 13 max orders available. So I will not be able to sell and buy a lot of stuff at the same time. So when you are a new player, you will have to choose carefully. This can be expanded with some market specialization skills. But again, without Omega, you probably will be limited, I don't know, maybe 30-40 orders. This is good enough for personal usage. In principle, you don't really need to set up any orders at all, because whenever you sell things immediately to existing orders, then you just accept their price and you don't pay broker fee. The person who set up the order pays broker fee, and you just enjoy the market operation. Somebody tries to buy electron bomb at 1 million. Yeah, sure. It costs more. Reasonable. Pick up, drop off, limited social adaptation chip. Charisma. Central data core. Accept. Well, I wouldn't say that market system is really complex. Like, the biggest complication of market system is that it is split into regions, I guess. So when you are doing things in the market, you only typically see what happens in your region, and that's a small fraction of the universe. So if you want to trade something, you are very much advisable to look up prices using these external resources like evemarketer.com, because those aggregate data from all the universe, including Null-sec regions, and this helps. This helps to appraise things much better. And then, of course, you need to apply your own thinking, because you must understand that, for example, JITA is basically center of the economy and center of the world, and you will have all industrialists concentrated around it, and all materials brought there, and all manufacturing happens mostly there, and then all products are distributed from there. So JITA will provide probably highest buy orders for materials and then lowest prices for the product. And at the same time, in different regions like Mar or Rents, you will be able to buy materials cheaper, but also sell the final product with higher margin. But still, then you are at a disadvantage, because not everything is available. Not everything is brought to your place by other people. Again, we are going to manufacture bursts. And now I regret that I destroyed it. Honestly. We could have just sold them, this one. And instead we get a wreath. Thank you. So, again, we need to set up industry, run for the burst. We need to produce only one, but you can see that we don't really have materials. Actually, we are missing a lot of materials. So what we can do here, and this is one of the things that helps a lot in industry, if you are in JITA, or if you are nearby, you can press this arrow, right click, and buy missing materials, and this will automatically create you an order to buy everything that you require. As you can see, isogen mineral in this location is quite overpriced, but again, it's just 200,000 ISK. It's possible actually that it's not really overpriced. Let me check again the prices, because this is a faraway region, and it is possible that people just sell this off at a very low price, or buyers have buy orders set up at a very low price. Price history. So the price currently is around 52 ISK per unit. And here we have, okay, yeah, it's overpriced. It is very much overpriced, but again, we are going to speed up our progress, and we have money. Why not? And you can see that it immediately got delivered because these materials were already at the station, and we are able to start producing probe. Oh, sorry, burst. We just need one, and we will complete this career. Now, this one is fly, deliver, return. You can also use external tools to produce buy orders. The buy orders can be copy-pasted if they are formatted in a certain format, and if they are copied into exchange buffer of your computer, they can be copy-pasted into the screen, into the window. So sometimes you will find tools for industry that will produce you a basically bill of materials that you need to buy to produce something. For example, based on your stocks, based on your on the technologies that you want to produce, on the material efficiency. This kind of information is also available via programmable programming interfaces. CCP provides it to people. It is authenticated, so you will have to log in with your credentials and provide application with access to this information. It's nothing to be scared about, because this application cannot really do anything with your account besides reading this data, and then all active actions you have to do yourself. So it will extract this data and compute things for you, and you just need to copy paste it and buy the materials and haul it to your station, the ones where you are manufacturing at least. We need to bring 2 1 meganewton afterburners. Yeah, they are on sale. Let's buy 2. You can buy things remotely, as I have already mentioned. You just need to be in the same region. Another thing where you can buy things are contracts, actually. There is something I haven't discussed yet. So if you go to this menu and finance and contracts, this is a way to trade when you are not in the same region. And usually it means it is a way to trade for things that are not placeable on the market. Not everything can be. For example, as you have seen, when I tried to place those quest items, access keys or stuff, then they were not placeable on the market because, well, they are not trade commodities. But here, you can look up pretty much anything. You can find any quest item, anything that players can get, technically. there are no items in even line, as far as I know, that are untradeable or bound to your account or character or whatever. There is no such thing. So everything that is available you can get. So this is one thing. So quest items. And then also, if you are inclined into industry, blueprints. For most importantly, originals and copies, actually. Too many types. Okay. Yeah, and you can remove limitation that says current region. We need to accept this mission because we have all afterburners available and complete it immediately. We also got advanced industry, which definitely cannot be trained by Omega. No, sorry, by Alpha. And also here we need to bring EMP charges, which we also happen to have. And here we are granted with EMP blueprint, which we actually can use to produce some. But we will just complete it here, and we will take this blueprint with us when we are going to move somewhere and produce them later, because our industry is currently busy with burst. And it will be for another 1 hour and 28 minutes. So basically I'm going to wrap this stream today, because this is the last item that I need to deliver for this industry career path. And it will take another 1 hour 28 minutes to produce. Yes, manufacturing ships takes time. So if you want, this is another way to save a little bit of cash. You can buy materials yourself and then produce ships yourself. This will save a little bit for you. And then, yeah, hopefully in the next stream, then we continue by finishing this one and going through advanced military career path. Okay, thank you for watching, thank you for the comments, and follow this channel, subscribe to YouTube channel, and see you in the next one. Also leave comments and questions in YouTube, those are appreciated, and I will try to make new videos based on the topics that people are interested in. Thank you once again, see you.